and should understand in order to communicate with other business analysis, or to see the business analysis, or to find the business analysis related stuff. So let's see what are the different concepts in the business analysis. The first thing that comes for a business analyst when he is studying CBAP or IIBA body of knowledge, the first thing that you have to understand after the knowledge area, of course, is business analysis core concept model. Okay. Business analysis core concept model, also called BACCM. All right. Now this is a little bit tricky, but I would like to explain you so that you should remember this one. BACCM is like a quality check. It's a quality checklist. Okay. It tells you that specific knowledge area, whether the knowledge area is requirement gathering, or the knowledge area is requirement design and definition, or strategic analysis. So the work in that knowledge area is completed or not. Is it properly aligned? Have you considered all the aspects in the specific knowledge area or specific task? So so BACCM, you ask certain question from your from yourself or your business analyst team, and once they answer, you know that you have got the right hands on the specific task of the business analysis. So it's actually a conceptual model. It's not something physical that you can, like apply. It's a conceptual model. So everybody has its different implementation. Okay. But the major concept of this one is that it helps you determine the completion and making sure that all aspects of business analysis is covered in a specific task, whether it's requirement gathering, analysis, SRS, DS, FS, whatever you are doing. If you see the BACCM, you will understand that all the tasks are completed. So this is one of the this is how we define the BACCM. This is a concept model. Let's see. Okay. So why BCCM is useful in the business analysis field? It's first of all, it's specific to business analysis. Like for example, when we talk about project management, we always say cost, scope, budget, quality, and this is the boundary of the project management. We always see these three things, and we make sure that like the project is going on the right direction. Okay, so you see whenever you see how's that project going, you see all 3 or 4 aspects. So this is how business analysis works. So if, for example, if you're saying how's the business analysis activities going on in your project, so you can't say that I'm in the budget in the project. No, that's not our area. That's the project management area. As a business analyst, we have to answer 6 different concepts. That if those 6 concepts are accounted for, rectified, handled, then it's mean that we are on the right, we are doing it right. So this is one of the thing. Also, whenever you are given a work from one business analyst to another business analyst, this helps you in the handover and takeover as well. So for example, if other business analyst is taking a work from previous business analyst, by applying BCCM, he can understand that whether the work by that specific business analyst is completed properly or not, or what area is concerned, what area is not concerned, what area is considered, what area is not considered. Also, BCCM nowadays is used as to evaluate the business analyst as well. Now, what is it? Let me just give you a specific details. So BACCM consists of 6 elements: change, need, solution, stakeholder, value, and context. Now let's not worry about a lot of different concepts, but see, these 6 things are present in every business analysis activity. They might not be present in the project management activity, but they are present in every business analysis activity. And whenever you are doing any business analysis activity, you have to consider these 6 aspects. So if you consider these 6 aspects and you have answer to all those 6 aspects, it's mean that you are doing the business analysis in right direction. Same like project management. If the project is on time, in budget, in scope, it's going in right direction. So for us, if the right change is considered, like what change we are doing, if that change is harmful, we are avoiding it. If there is a positive change, we are accepting it. If what are the needs, have we clarified the needs? Is the business need is linked to the functional requirements, or the functional requirements are all the functional requirement are linked to the business requirement or not? What solutions we are focusing on, whether this is the right solution for that specific problem or not? What stakeholders we are considering? Are we considering all the right stakeholders for the specific project? What value this specific problem or this specific solution that we are working on is creating, is saving? So value is not only financial. I told you yesterday, and we'll discuss this in detail today. Value of business analysis is not financial only. So for us, for example, reducing the for example, if you are doing a business analysis process improvement and you are saving a time for some staff, that is also a value. If you are saving a time of your customer, like for example, if it takes 1 minute to transfer fund and you are reducing it by 10 seconds, that 10 seconds of saving time for your customer would be a business value. So business value could be tangible and intangible. Tangible means the things that you can touch, feel, access. Like for example, financial benefit. If your solution is saving a specific cost in specific area, or it's increasing the sale, or it is increasing the number of customers you have, or increasing the number of funds you have. So that's a specific tangible thing. But there are intangible things. Like for example, you are enhancing the customer experience. You are enhancing the your staff, your employees satisfaction. So you have to consider all this area. So value is important, that what value I am going to create, what value is this solution going to create? Is it creating the right value we wanted, or if there is no value of the solution? So value doesn't mean features, functionalities, but value means the benefit that is going to bring to your audience. Okay. And then the context is very important. Context is linked to the surrounding area. All right, we'll discuss this in detail in later stages when we discuss the requirement analysis and design, but I want to give you a heads up on this. So context refer to the boundary. So for example, you are making a solution for HR. Okay, now you are focused on HR. Maybe you have domain knowledge of HR, and that's why you are a good business analyst for HR. You are focused on HR. You delivered a solution, you implemented a solution, and once the solution is going live, another person came from another department with the Excel sheet. All right, sounds familiar. All right. So he came up with an Excel sheet, said, okay, will your system do this Excel sheet? You said, no, I didn't get your requirement. I'm only focused on HR department. You are accounting. I will not do this sheet for you. My focus was, so, so this is an example of the context, that you are doing a solution in a specific, for a specific domain, but there is a context to it. They are communicating with other departments, other companies. Like for you, bank, whatever you do in your context, you have State Bank of Pakistan, you have SECP. So these are the contexts. So whatever solution you are developing, you have to focus on your context on the other areas. So this is called so you have to consider. So now if you try to make sense of BCCM, BACCM, business analysis core competency model, it refers to the list of items that if you consider those items, ask yourself a question all these core concept models, and if you get answers to everything, it means you are doing it right. You are in the business analysis boundary. But if you don't have answers to any of this, it means you're not doing it right. Let me give you an example. Consider you have completed requirement gathering phase. You said, wow, I finished it. Now I'll start making maybe functional specification or designs. Okay. Now, before going to the next step, ask yourself a question. Have I considered what my system is going to change? Is it software? Is it people's behavior? Is it hardware? Is it software? Is it website? What this system is going to change? Behavior, people, what? And then ask yourself another question. Is it change positive? Have I accounted for this change? Like, have I considered that this change I will be able to handle this change? Like, if, for example, if your solution requires an expert, like a graduate person to use, for example, okay, and it's in full English. So have you considered that the person who will be using this system is capable of reading English? So these are the important things that you have to consider. Okay, change, how this change will be impacted. So am I making a good change or a bad change? Will my change be considered as positive change or negative change? Is it really positive or negative? If it is positive and it will be considered as negative, then it's okay. I have to plan for the change. But if it is negative change, why to do it? Okay, then all my requirements gathering that I did, these are all stated requirements, right? Are these all requirements that I'm getting is a user requirement, functional requirement, whatever type of requirement is it? Is it all the requirements are linked to the business need, or am I going to develop something that are not linked to the business need, or there is no business need? Then you ask yourself a question and you arrange a business need for them and try to link every requirement to the business need. And all the requirements which are not linked to the business need, I'll explain you when we'll discuss the requirement gathering phase. So these are called orphan requirements. And you know what happens with orphans. So this is very important. You have to consider. Then solution. What solutions what solutions you are developing? Are these solutions really going to solve the problem? The requirements you gathered, are these the right requirements? Means, are they going to really solve the problem? Or by doing this, you will just like make another system without solving a problem. So what are the problems that you are going to, this solution is going to solve? Stakeholders, very importantly, again, stakeholder, have you considered all the stakeholders? You finished your requirement gathering session, think about it. You consider a requirement gathering session. Based on this, you design, you develop, you test, you implement. And a manager comes in and he said, you know what, this screen doesn't have this basic field. So you said, I got a requirement from your assistant manager, for example, or your assistant in the department. He said, maybe he forget. So you have to consider that all the relevant stakeholders are considered. So you gather the requirement. Very good. Now ask yourself, have all of the relevant stakeholders are considered in this requirement gathering phase or not? Okay. What now? The next thing we already discussed, value and context, because value and context is intangible. You can say it could be tangible, intangible, and context you understand. So what impact it's going to impact in terms of technology, in terms of hardware and others. Okay. If you have any questions related to BCCM, BACCM, please let me. I'm getting echo. Any questions related to BACCM, please, you can ask now. I'm getting echo. Farooq Sheikh Saab, can you please unmute yourself? Thank you very much, sir. Yes. Anyone have any questions? All right. So it's been quite clear. Great. Excellent. So you understand BCCM is actually your boundary, like a triangle for.
I'm writing, sir. So I'm writing the question.
Please. Thank you. Thank you. So meanwhile, they're writing the question. So like project management have a triangle of cost, schedule, and scope, and the quality beyond it. We also have triangle, but we have two different triangles, so it makes a star shape. This is boundary. This is what we need to focus on. So we are focusing on 3 or 4 areas. We are focusing on 6 areas. Okay. Question? Okay. Okay. I'll answer your question once you write it. Next. Okay. Now we'll be discussing the key terminologies that the business analysts use, and some of the terminologies are really, really funny, you know, like the decision tree or organization chart. You know, a chart sometimes sounds differently, but that's it. So we'll be discussing some key terminologies in the business analysis. Okay. So we didn't get the questions yet. Moving forward.
Sir, I have given.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Okay, I got a question from Mr. Hassan Raza. Very good question. If concerned stakeholder are not communicated or projected by management for new employee, what we should do. All right, now, beautiful question, excellent question. This is, see, when a project manager is planning, it's a response. So stakeholder analysis, we will discuss this in tomorrow's session when we do the business analysis, planning and monitoring. Our first task will be, as I said, identify stakeholders. So stakeholder analysis is a task, okay, and that task is already done by project manager. Whenever a project manager, whoever is the project manager in this session, would agree that whenever they are doing a project, if they are initiating a project, they do the stakeholder analysis. So in that time, a project manager should ask the BA that give me your list of stakeholders so that they can also consider this in the stake. So you do the stakeholder analysis according to the business aspect and you give it to the project management. So it becomes the stakeholder analysis of the whole project. So there is, if you do it early, like in the part of the project planning phase, then there is no point in forgetting about it. But sooner the better. So if you forget the right person, you later on find out. Like for example, you might have said you never know a person, you never know a department. It's been given to you to do this project, XYZ project for a department. Okay, you go there and you got a list of people there. You went there, you meet with people, and you make the stakeholder list. Very good. Okay, done. Now, for example, you started collecting the requirement, and maybe 50% of the requirements are collected. Now you know that. Now we will discuss this in detail in the elicitation phase. Now, for example, if you collected a requirement and you find out this person who's giving me a requirement, my stakeholder, he is very perfectionist. Okay, this is very important. A business analyst, we have to consider people as well. I told you. So he's very perfectionist. And he is the only person from the department who will be responsible for signing off and requirements and all that. Then this raises a big concern for you. So it's late, but it's still. So you have to add another person from the department to make sure that all the wish list will be accounted for. Because if his mentality is a perfectionist person, trust me, perfectionist is not good for business analyst or business analysis. Whether you are a perfectionist, you are not good for business analysis, or if your user is perfectionist, it's not. You have to handle them. So you have to add another person, or maybe you find out that this person is not you initially as a stakeholder. You got him on the list, but when you ask him different question, you find out he just joined maybe 6 months or 1 year ago, and he doesn't have idea of the context and requirements. Then you can definitely ask for another person. Sooner the better. So what you should do, sooner the better. Whenever you find out, tell them with the risk. Tell them that these are the risk if we don't get the right stakeholder. Hopefully I answered
Actually,
your question, so we move forward.
thank you. But most of the time, the concerned stakeholders are involved in other tasks. Like he is doing, like I will ask about the trade. That trade users are continuously working on daily basis, and they are they have some types of relationship with the customer, and they are doing business on the whole day. And when UAT is going to perform, or any BRD or requirement gathering document is in the phase, they don't have the time to provide their concern, or they don't have the time to meet with us, or we don't know the actual person that to whom we are going to ask the actual requirement. Signing off is another person authority, and user is requirement is a other type of task. And when the product is delivered and user is not satisfied, then the sign off is in the black hole. So
Absolutely. I like this
what we have to
black
do in
hole
that
thing actually.
situation?
Okay, what you have to do. See, you actually answered your question. So there are two different parts of your question. First, you said we don't know the right stakeholders. So this is the answer. Identify the right stakeholder. Now it's hard thing. Of course, it's hard thing because you're like doing the stakeholder analysis at start of the project and then monitoring that stakeholders. We will discuss this tomorrow in the stakeholder analysis in detail. That is important.
Okay.
If you don't know the right stakeholders, you have been just given a project. So think like this: you are making a building, okay? And you are making a building, and you don't know like who will sign off your building and designs and all that. Forget about building. My wife, like I was developing a home. My wife used to like see everything, and then one day we went into the room and we find out that the washroom is done. All right, all the tiles, marble work is done, and she didn't
Hmm.
like the color. So you know what happens. All right, so this is so if you are doing any task and you don't know the right stakeholder to whom you are doing it for, chances are, not the chances, I'm writing this, it's written on the wall, that you are running towards a failure. If you don't know that what, for example, if you don't know who's your stakeholder, who is going to use it, what's his area, what's his knowledge, what, then you're running towards a black hole by yourself. So predict that black hole, try to do the stakeholder analysis, use the right people, tell the project manager there is a big risk, we don't have a right stakeholder, we'll get the requirement which will not be finalized, this is your area. You get my
You
point?
should communicate to the
So, and
manager.
how to do it efficiently? Yeah, you communicate to everybody that I'm not having the right set of stakeholders. If you see,
Hmm.
now there will always be, you have to understand one thing, you are in IT, I guess, right? Even if
Yeah.
you are not in IT, you are in business analysis. Consider yourself, you are in, if you are in IT, and I think most of the people have mentioned, I think they are in IT. So for IT, I started, and I see a lot of people have the experience and might be white hairs like me, like who solved the Y2K bug and were the, like the and we face CIH viruses. So we know that, like user never had time. In past 20 years, I never came across a right user. I'm saying a right user who have time. So they will always assign Chotu to you. Take requirement from my Chotu. He will handle you, right?
Hmm.
So this is the if Chotu is giving the requirement, then then Chotu has to sign off. But that's not the case. So that's
Hmm.
very important. You have to involve the right people. Now there are different ways to involve them. I will tell you in tomorrow's stakeholder analysis. There are ways to involve them. If they don't give full time, no problem. They are involved in the review session. They are involved in the approval sessions. If you follow the if you define a proper business analyst process in your organization and you follow that, you will not face, you will face issue, but it will be reduced to a quantifiable extent. All right, so for example, so let's discuss this tomorrow in stakeholder analysis again, and let's see if you agree to that. Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, you're welcome, sir. So business analysis terms, so we are discussing what are the different terms of business analysis. uh, the first term that we are going to discuss is business analysis information. So there are a lot of information, lots of information going around in your organization. So when we say business analysis information, it's a set of business analysis information which is analyzed, transformed, and reported. So requirement gathering, whatever requirements we have, is not a business analysis information until you analyzed it and you matured it to the solution. There's something called design. There's a difference between a design and a solution. Design is a representation of a solution. Okay, we'll discuss this in detail as well, but this is the term you have to understand. Design, whenever we say design, it's not a graphic design, because we'll be discussing design a lot. So when we say design, it doesn't mean the user interface, the UI or UX. It's a it's a component of a solution. Okay, it's actually how the requirements will be solved. It's a design. Okay, then we will use also a key term called enterprise. So when we say enterprise, doesn't mean uh, that it's your department or a department of a person that you are solving a problem for. Enterprise enterprise is the organization or the group of organizations even that are working towards the same goal. So you have to understand it's not only one company. If you are part of the group, then you have, so the whole group becomes an enterprise for you. Organization is the specific company. So you have to understand that there will be a discussion in business analysis where analysis has to be done, enterprise level analysis. Okay, and then you drill down to organization level. Organization is your specific organization. Enterprise is the higher part of the thing. Okay, when we say plan, whenever we say plan, it's a business analysis plan. When we call project plan, it's actually a project plan which is made by the project manager. When we say risk, it's not a project risk, it's a business analysis risk. And we will discuss that risk is an uncertainty, like anything that you are not aware about is a risk. Okay, and you note that risk. So whatever you have said recently, that we don't know who will sign off, then that's a risk. That's an uncertainty. Anything that you are not aware about, that you don't know and it's important, that's a risk. Okay, and then for every risk you first have to identify the risk, then prioritize how important is that risk, then you plan to whether mitigate it, whether go and find the right people, or avoid it, it doesn't matter, or transfer that risk by sending an email to project manager that you are responsible for that risk. Okay, if the project fails or delay, I'm not responsible, I'm identifying that these are not the right stakeholders. Okay, or you exploit the risk. So accept and exploiting the risk means you said, all right, I agree to that risk, and I have and or I exploit that risk means that these are for opportunity risk, which are positive risk. Okay, that you can say that sometime the scope creep could happen, but you can say that even if that scope creep can support the business in terms of more value, then you accept it. We'll discuss this briefly in future areas, inshallah. Okay. Okay, if you have any questions, you can ask now, please, related to key terms that we discuss or the business analysis core concept model. Mr. Hassan Raza, right? Okay, yeah, you noted his name? Yeah, exactly. For the reward. Yes, sorry, please. Anyone have any questions? You remember, asking a question is a participation, and it earns you 1 point for participation. And at end of 10th day, there is a surprise waiting for you. Trust me, the people who are not participating will regret, and the person who will win the surprise is you are going to be jealous. Trust me. All right, so we don't have questions. If you don't have question, then I have a question. So let me know what is stakeholder? Who is stakeholder? Can you define the stakeholder? What is stakeholder?
Stakeholders are the
Yeah,
concerned authorities.
thank you.
Means maybe user, maybe sign off authority, maybe the person who may be involved during the UAT or requirement gathering phase. All are regular
Thank you.
departments, different departments who must be involved in that functionality to perform or to execute or to implement any project. Whoever the concerned authorities who must be involved to implement that project may be considered as a concerned stakeholder.
Hello,
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Absolutely right. Yeah, thank you very much. You are absolutely right. I would like to see more people. Please write on the Slido
जी जी
whatever comments you have. That's where we are reviewing it, and it's easy for me. Trust me. Anyone
ओके
related to the project? Azhar, very good. Absolutely right. Anyone related to the project?
चलें ठीक है मैं
Anyone
आते हैं तो
related to
आपसे
the
बात
project?
करवा दूँ ठीक है जी 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 जी
I think
ओके
Zulfikar
कोई
Sab,
और
you have to mute yourself. Hassan Khan, you have to mute yourself too. Okay. All the people related directly or indirectly. Okay, these are stakeholders related directly or indirectly. Farooq Salim Sheikh Sab. Yes, uh, right. Uh, Syed Arif Raza, any personnel involved in the kickstart to end solution. The person, so it doesn't mean that the person who is only part of the starting phase or part of the ending phase will not be the stakeholder. I'm sure you meant that anyone between, whoever comes in between. So I think you are right, Sayyid Arif Raza, very good. Asra Nadeem, anyone who is directly or indirectly included, absolutely right, in the project will be impacted by the project change, will be considered as a stakeholder. Wow, that seems to be uh, actually that seems to be a briefed. Great, excellent. All right. Probably that will be the same line on my next slide as well. All right. Salik Ahmed, relevant people related to the project. Very well written, Asra. Salik Ahmed, relevant people related to the project. Yes. Anyone who can impact. Yes. Relevant resources required. Great. All right. Great. So this time we are going, you can say, Hatim Tai ki tarah. Everybody who's participated in this question is going to get 1 point. Thank you very much for your participation, because all the answers are right. A person who involved in project. Okay, now let me discuss this stakeholder thing. Uh, Consider yourself. Consider we are in the country, right? For example, we are in Pakistan. We have people, right? So uh, there are people in the assembly who's making decisions. All right, there are people in assembly, whether in different positions, they are making decision, but that decision is impacted on the 2 billion property, 2 billion people in Pakistan. So do you think that we all are stakeholder as part of those, the decisions has been made? So we are stakeholder, means like if we are stakeholder, we should be considered as well, right? We should be considered in terms of the whole process, like policy making. So do you think we are stakeholders and we should be considered individually, 2 billion people, when the decision has been made? If yes, why? And if not, why we should not? Like, why government, when they make policies, why they don't go to all 20 billion people, 2 billion people, and they ask question that, do you agree or not? Why they just make it in the assembly and apply on us? Can you, if you agree, this is, so we are, whether we are stakeholders, yes or no, and whether we should be considered or not in any aspect, whoever concerned. Yes. Okay, so Hassan Raza, yes, concerned person who should be involved in, yes, exactly, that's my question. So the concerned person who should be involved in the project is a stakeholder, right? Do you agree with me? Exactly. So if you agree with me that the person should be involved, then why in the government, when they make policies and decision for which we are stakeholder, but we are not being asked? Why is that? So means we are not the stakeholder. Okay, I got an answer. Muhammad Azhar Javed is saying, yes, we are stakeholder. Okay, so Mr. Azhar Javed, let me know why we are not being asked for the policies when they create, if we are the stakeholder, why we are not involved in
because
the decision.
because we have given the authority by our vote to them to take the decision, so we are not actual the stakeholder. We have already given our authority to them.
Beautiful. All right. Now this is, I think Asra Nadeem have got it right as well. Very good. We have given our representation through our votes for our. Zulfikar Sahab, can you please put yourself on mute? Thank you. So we have chosen our representatives that are making decisions on our behalf. So that's a point, and it's very important. Somebody mentioned that there are directly or indirectly stakeholders. Zulfikar Memon sir, can you please mute yourself? So directly or indirectly, it's directly or indirectly impacted in the system. So I think I have to mute Mr. Can you mute Zulfikar sir, please? I think he's busy. Okay. So Mr. Zulfikar is now being muted. Now we can continue. So yes, so anybody who's directly or indirectly included is a stakeholder, but he's an indirect stakeholder. So you make a representation of people from the indirect stakeholder, and you make that panel as a stakeholder. So for example, when you are developing a ATM machine, all right, when they were initially developing an ATM machine, so definitely every individual will be using that machine, right? So they can't go to billions of people and tell them to test. So what they do, they make indirect, they include the indirect stakeholders through a representation. Like for example, they've got a person who is deaf, they got a person who is blind, the person who is literate, the person who is not literate, the person who is short heighted, the person who is like a heighted person, the person who understand English, the person who doesn't understand English, the person who have hearing problems, seeing problem, color blinds. Based on all these aspects, they consider this as a representation and they test it. So you have to understand this aspect of the stakeholders. So whenever you are making a solution, this should be your mindset. You have to go broad, and then if you said I've gone so broad, like I've considered. So for example, you are making a mobile application, all right, and that has Android 10, Android 11, some are using Android 9, I don't know, 11 and 12 maybe, iOS and all this stuff. So this is so you, when you develop it, you consider all the versions, and you have the devices or simulators to test it. Same way you have to consider the stakeholders. If you don't have a reach to the larger audience, make samples that represents them. Okay, so this is exactly a stakeholder thing, and I wanted to emphasize the area. Now let's discuss the stakeholders. So definitely, yes, it's a list of people that you prepare when you are doing a business analysis activity. Stakeholder could be an individual, like a person, or a group of people could be a stakeholder. All right, that's again a representation thing. A general term for someone who has an interest or concern in an organization or it works. That's very important. So even if he is not directly impacted, but he's concerned. So for example, you can say that I'm implementing an HR program. All right, so if that is having a concern by the VP of HR, he is a stakeholder. Maybe you don't involve them, but you just note it down, and we will discuss this tomorrow in stakeholder analysis, that there are ways to approach them without like burdening them with the activities of the project. Okay, so that they are involved. Stakeholder can include donors, employees, board members, client, volunteers, and even public groups. If you are a company that serves the audience at that larger pace. Stakeholders could be direct, indirect, internal, external. As I said, that stakeholders could be your vendors who are developing the your applications. Stakeholders could be your state bank, SECP is your stakeholder. Some are directly impacted, some are indirectly impacted. Okay, so some of the examples that we will be listening, reading through in next few slides will be business analyst. Definitely is the major stakeholder. So business analyst is a stakeholder in every business analysis activity. So if you are a business analyst, everything that we are going to learn, all the tasks, business analyst is by default stakeholder in all the activities. Customer is also a stakeholder, but there are tasks in which customer will be involved, and there are tasks where customer will not be involved. Domain, SME, maybe you are from banking, so you call SME small medium enterprises, but this is subject matter expert. I'm sure you might, some of you are already aware about it. End user is the person who will be using the application. Implementation, SME, implementation subject matter experts are the business consultants who know the business processes. Operation support team who will be supporting that solution at end of the once you develop, implement, then they are the one who will be supporting it. So there are always difference. The developer is developing maybe a different organization or different department, and there is a support team who will be supporting it. So they are also stakeholders. Project manager, one of the major stakeholders. So most of the time you see him involved in most of the activity. Regulator, like State Bank, SECP, or any other regulator that you report to. Sponsor, the person who is paying for the project is also a stakeholder. Supplier is a stakeholder in terms of if he's giving you services. Tester, last but not least, UAT and all this. Yes. So these all are stakeholders. I think we will take a 10 minutes break here, and we will meet at 16:46. All right, guys. So enjoy your break and finish whatever you want to complete. I think our voice is good, so we don't need to test. Okay, I think no, don't touch anything. Okay, thank you very much. We'll meet after 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay. Now on the left side, I'm sure you all guys can see the screen, right? Yes. Okay. So on the left side, we have the roles: application architect, business analyst, database analyst, developer, and end user. Okay. 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 Now the question is, who is application architect? Now I'm sure it will take time to respond there. Okay. Just use the smallest description possible. Architect out of these 5 descriptions. Just write the smallest description on Slido. Achha. Yes, right. I think I got the right answer. So yes, application architect, business analyst is the, okay. I think it's hard to do in Slido, so we will try to change it in the upcoming slide. So let's see. Business analyst is the person who's identify, document, manage requirement, also manage requirement modification and the change approval process. This is the business analyst. Okay. Think about our application architect. So he's the one who choose the design architectural approach, how it will be used, the API thing, the 3-tier or 4-tier or 5-tier architecture sort of thing, and then and configuring the design to improve performance. Okay, these are all stakeholders of a specific software project. Developer is the person who participate in the requirement review and sign off sessions. Now, how many times it happens that you involve developers in the requirement review and sign off uh, verification and deliverable approval process? Because this is important. If you don't add them, probably they will be like later on coming with things that are not possible at all. End user is the one who participate during the requirement gathering process, may participate in UAT as well. Also, we have executive sponsors, information architects, infrastructure analyst, quality assurance analyst. I'm sure you might have all these roles in your organization. We have the options: identified data requirements, involved in requirements review, approval, and modification process. So, and then we have an option called approve the requirements management process. Who approves the requirements and management process? Who approves? Is it executive sponsor or information architect or infrastructure analyst or quality assurance analyst? So of course, information architect is the one who identify the data requirements, and executive sponsor is the person responsible for approval. Then we have participates in requirement Can you hear me? I just need some confirmation somehow.
Yes, now we can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Can you hear me? Yes, I
Yes, we
think yes. Thank you, sir, in advance. Thank you. Okay, so I think you can see the screen as well. Yes, thank you very much, Adnan Sheikh. So yes, so information analyst is the one. Information infrastructure analysis is the one who design the hardware requirements for your software, and quality assurance the one who participates in requirement review session. Developer and quality assurance has to be participating in the requirement review and validation process, just to make sure they understand the project, and if they have any suggestions, they gave it here rather than back and forth. Now, these things might change a little bit when you are using the, depending on your approach, whether you are following the SDLC approach or Agile or Scrum or Waterfall, whatever methodology you are following, these things will might change, but that's okay. That's how it works. Some organization who use Scrum use business analyst testers as well, so that's okay. So in that case, business analysts have two, is wearing two caps, is running two shows, or handling two different things. Okay, project manager is the one who manage the project team, facilitate deliverable, approval process, success and failure. You see, he's responsible for project success and failure. He is not responsible for solution success and failure. All right, but we as a business analysts are responsible for solution success. Then also we have solution owners, the SMEs, subject matter experts that provide the requirement information, approve functional requirements. Okay, and then we also have subject matter experts contribute business and advice to the requirement gathering activities. Now, solution owner and subject matter expert could be one person, and that's what usually happens. Subject matter experts are the solution owners in our project, but that's not mandatory. That helps you when we were discussing that, you know, like the people who have the right information are not given to you to collect the requirement. So you can consider them as solution owner, and the person who's giving you the requirement, you can consider them as subject matter expert, and you can always go back to solution owner and get it signed off, all the requirements reviewed and everything. Okay, now I'll also tell you that even when you send the requirements to uh, when you see the requirements, when you receive the requirements or you send the requirement to the users, they will not review it because they are so busy. And when we will have our session on requirement elicitation, I will tell you the ways to force them to approve without forcing them. You know, like, so they will be forced to review your document, and you don't need to force them. So there are small little tricks that I will tell you that will push them to read their given requirement, because this is the laziest part. You know, like, they don't read the minutes of the meeting, they don't review the requirement. So, and then there is a mistake, and later on they find out. So or they identify it. So there are things that will help you. So we'll discuss this tomorrow in the we'll discuss in the elicitation phase. Okay, now I have a question, and I want you to answer this question on Slido. So the question is, what is the first question, but that's the question is right now. What is the requirement? We have been discussing requirements, requirement definition, RS, FS, SRS, soft requirement specification. What is the requirement itself? What is it? What is a requirement? What you call a requirement? Functionality. Okay, functionality. Need, requirement is a business need. A business need. Sorry guys, I was again disconnected, but I have joined. So yeah, your response. Thank you very much. Yes. Apart. Okay, I have all the responses in front of me. Need, functionality, business need. Requirement is a business need of a customer. Yes, absolutely. Current and to be analysis, Adnan Sheikh. Current and to be analysis. Uh, yes, of course. Once you do the current analysis and to be analysis between them is uh, requirements, of course. But we will learn that what kind of requirement is it, and that's very type of requirement that usually business analysts do not consider. So a very good point, Asra, Nadeem. Anything that does not fulfill the current state is a requirement. Okay, all right. This is very well put. Yeah. So we will discuss this. I think a lot of people will not understand this word like current state, or maybe you already got it. So we will see that current state and future state. We'll discuss this. There is a whole topic on current state and future state analytics, and we'll discuss this in detail. All right. And Adnan is saying any functionality. Monis Ali is saying physical or functional need. Monis, I want you to put some light on this. What do you mean or functional need? Like what is physical? I understand functional is the functional thing, but what is physical need?
सर फिजिकल मतलब ये कि जो फंक्शनैलिटी जैसे हम रिक्वायरमेंट पूरी गैदर करते हैं जो मीटिंग्स होती हैं उसमें भी जो टीम का इंटरेक्शन होता है और मतलब एक प्रोजेक्ट को डिलीवर करना होता है वो मतलब फिजिकली भी और जो फंक्शनैलिटी भी है तो उस फॉर्म में मैंने कहा था.
Yes, I think I get you. There was a little distortion, but I get you. You are right. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much, Monis. Thank you. So, yes. And now I'm going to give the 1 point to each participant. Okay. Now, the next question is, what are the different types of requirement? Have you came across, like I've been listing the business need. So yes, functionality, that is also one of the requirement. But what are the different types of requirement? Have you came across what you are right now focusing on or arranging from your in your business analysis activities? What are the different types of requirement that you are gathering? Types of requirement. I'm sure you are collecting a lot of different types of requirements. So just yeah, functional and non-functional. I got it. Farooq, thank you. Shumaila, functional and non-functional. Kashif Akhtar, functional and non-functional. So I can take it, copy. I can choose. Yes, functional requirement, performance requirements. Wow, I get Abdul Hamid. Yes, tech system requirements. Asif Raza, yes, productivity enhancement requirement. अच्छा आपने खोल लिया. Okay. Performance requirement that make user working easier. Yes. Technical requirement, functional and non-functional again. Yes. Techniques. Yes. Domain requirement, functional requirements. Yes. Sorry everyone, little technical difficulty today. I think things are set up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. I think all of you have given answers, but there is, let's go a little bit. So you have given the right answer. Different description, like somebody said business needs, somebody said domain requirements. So we now we're going to what are the different type of requirements.
Munawwar, we cannot hear you again. I guess your network is not right.
Just let me share the screen as well. There was some internet problem. And others name for the requirement that business analysts usually use. Okay, so okay. So at the writing requirement is a condition, a capability required by a stakeholder to solve certain problem. This is what the requirement is. Anything that that is required to solve a business problem or achieve any business objective. So not only the business problem, but even to achieve an objective is also called a requirement. It's a condition or capability that must be met. These are requirement definition, must be met, possessed by a solution or by the contract. A requirement could be unstated. अब ये बड़ा important है. This is very important. The requirement may be unstated, like maybe it's written or maybe it's not written, like a process, right? A person does something, so it might not be written, but it's unstated. It could be implied by other requirement. You might have heard. So I have told you this requirement, and I was thinking that you might have also understood this thing. This should be by default, right? These things, so these could be implied or unimplied requirements, or implied by other requirements, or directly stated and managed requirements. Managed requirements are those requirements that comes into the business analysis process for requirement information. We'll discuss this in a bit. Okay, requirement must be clearly communicated to and understood by the stakeholders. So requirement is only requirement when it's clearly communicated and understood by the relevant stakeholder. If it's not clearly communicated, then it's not a good requirement. We will discuss the quality of the requirement in a bit, where you learn that how to qualify your requirement as a good or bad requirement. And what are the different types of requirement? That question, all of you have answered. These are the major types of requirement. Okay, one of the now the highest level of the requirement is this requirement. The top level of the requirement. These are the requirements which actually drive the business value, impact, or the project. Okay, then it comes a stakeholder requirement. These are the requirement of a particular stakeholder, that how he wants the things to be done. Okay, these are called stakeholder requirements. These are requirements that to develop, whether it should be, whether a column should be visible to everybody or specific people. Which stakeholder person, how the requirements will be implemented. Okay, these are stakeholder requirements. Okay. Okay. I think you might not be able to view the screen. So okay. The actual function. you I heard from functional and non-functional requirement. Yes, this is only one requirement. Uh, let me ask you. Yeah. Let me ask. So, for example, functional requirement are the requirements which are the functionality and requirements. Example, performance of the system, GUI interface. All these are non-functional requirement. But here I would like to explain a very important point, which is sometimes a dependent requirement. Like some of the non-functional requirements are so important, if they are not done properly or not done as part of minutes, but let's take a break now and
just give me a few yes if you are ready on the Slido, please. Great, perfect, excellent. All right. Thank you, Mr. Azhar. Thank you, Adnan. So we are starting the session. What I'll do is I'll just recap this types of requirement, because this is one of the most important understanding required for the business analyst. Why is that? Because if you don't understand the different types of requirement, then you cannot, you will not be bothered to ask for those requirements, and you'll not be able to relate the future discussions that we are going to have. So the importance of different types of requirement is important. So I'm going to recap this a little bit, so that due to disconnection, if there is any problem, it will be fixed. So the first type of the requirement is the business requirement. Also, a lot of people have responded domain requirements, like the business related requirements. So these are the highest level of requirement. These are the requirement, like for example, if you are implementing a new HR AMS system, the requirement could be to reduce the paperwork, to enhance the response time for his employees to get to know their leave balances, to automate the process. These kind of business requirements. Okay, these are the highest level of requirements. And then there are stakeholder requirements. Once you have the business requirement, then you go to the relevant stakeholder and you ask them how this business requirement will be filled. And then those stakeholders tell you how this requirements will be filled. So those are stakeholder requirements. So for example, maybe your business requirement is to automate a specific business process. Then you go to stakeholder and they tell you we need maybe some machinery, some computers, some software, some hardware or whatever. So these are the stakeholder requirements. And then based on the solution requirement, you based on the stakeholder requirement, you drill down to reach to the solution requirement. So if they say they need certain automated process or some certain screens or certain reports, then you drill down those reports to find the solution requirements. The solution requirements consist of two major requirements: functional requirement and non-functional requirement. Functional requirements are the specific capability, like how this solution will work, whereas non-functional requirement are usually quality of service requirement. It's actually like a behavior, like putting right colors, fonts, size, web-based or not web-based, or performance, like report should run on this timings and all this stuff. So the more important thing in non-functional requirement is to identify those non-functional requirements that are crucial to the success of functional requirements. So for example, I gave you an example, like for example, if there is a report and there is a requirement to run that report or generate that output within 30 seconds, for example. Okay. And if when the project timeline crunches, the project manager, first thing he will do, and I'm sure you are most aware about this, is they will delete the non-functional requirement from the release. So if that non-functional requirement is not delivered, which is 30 seconds to generate the report, maybe the customer will close the browser and leave. So that will fail the whole project. So you have to identify those non-functional requirements and link them to the functional requirements, so that whenever you discuss the priority or deletion of non-functional requirement, then those requirements stand out. Okay, this is very important point. Okay, one of the most important requirements that usually whenever I meet a business analyst anywhere, any part of the world, I found out that the transition requirements are missing. Now, these are the transition requirements are the requirements that are implementation requirement. Like, for example, if you are implementing a solution, okay, there's a software that you want to implement. Now, in order to implement that solution, you need computers. Okay, in that area, okay, you might need people to be trained on using computers. Okay, you might need certain operating system to run your systems, maybe a .NET frameworks or anything that is required to be run there. One of the transition requirement example is also the uploading of previous data. So I remember we were working on a very innovative application. We made an application, everything, and just like delivered to the customer. And later on, when we followed up on customer that how is it application being seen, they are not getting good response. Now we told them why they are not getting response. So they shared their research that people most of the people that were trying to use the application wanted their whole database in the system that we don't have their features. So for example, just to give you an example to clear this thing is that there is an application that tells you that how your investment is going in terms of shares. Okay, so for example, there is a button whenever you buy a share, you add buy, and this start calculating your portfolio, current market rates, and all this, how much profit you are making, how much loss. Beautiful application, perfect application. But what happened when I downloaded that application, I'm able to add my stock from today, but I'm not able to add my previous portfolio that I already had. Okay, in that case, I'm not able to use this application. So this is one of the example of transition requirement. This is one of the most crucial requirement. Trust me, most of the project fail based on the transition and operational. The softwares are right, the softwares are good, but transition requirements are not met. I want to give you some examples. Some of you that have that are experienced and have white hairs like me would know that there was before ERP there was a concept called MRP. Okay, and that MRP, the Oracle was very famous, especially in Singapore, for this MRP, the concept of BOM and all this, not the BOM, the bill of material kind of thing. So and we were implementing that application in one of the largest manufacturers in Pakistan, and everything was done, everything was flashing, all the requirement, all the business analysis activities, everything documented, Singaporean, like people were there, they were charging on hourly basis, and they came here for installation. And once they went to install for even the training was done, the UAT was done, everything. And when we went there to install in the client side, we find out that the minimum required operating system for this application was Windows Millennium. I'm not sure you might heard about that Windows or not, but that was the minimum requirement. And can you imagine that? Can you imagine the hassle of that transition requirement? Like it was too huge, because there were 2,000 plus computers, and you need to upgrade the operating system in these 2,000 computers. Think about the licensing cost, and forget about licensing cost. At that time, one of the operating system could work in one computer and one will not work. There's minimum RAM requirement and a lot of this stuff. So these are all transition requirements that have failed. I'm sure you might have heard another example from Lucky Cement. If you might, it might went through your eyes that they have ordered a very big, like a central, they call it central monitoring system for cement. It's a very big machine, lots of heavy vehicles have bought it into the factory, and at the end, when they find out that where they want to place it, there was no door to take that machine inside that room, and they have to cut the roof and put this the machine inside the room, and you can still go there and see the roof is there is a patches everywhere. So this is the importance of transition requirement. And whenever you are implementing a project, whenever you get the requirements, understand the transition requirement, ask them how much data they have, how it will be transmitted, how this solution will be implemented, do the people have the right knowledge to operate the system, do they have the right software, the right hardware to use it. So this is very important. Okay, otherwise you waste a lot of time on that, and even it leads to the project failure, because the people will not accept the project because there is no right infrastructure available. So this is one of the very critical type of requirement that you should consider whenever you are collecting a requirement. So don't end up your requirement elicitation or gathering phase just on functional and non-functional requirement. Transition requirement are as more important as functional and non-functional requirement. Okay. Okay, now if you have any questions, you can ask me now on the Slido, please. I have a question from Asra Nadeem. Implementation transition requirement, capability, prerequisites needed to run the prime solution. Absolutely right. There is one more aspect to the transition requirement. Of course, capabilities or prerequisites for running the solution, of course, yes, but also how the existing systems or existing workload will be transitioned. This is also very important aspect. So for example, when you are implementing a solution, they might having some other Excel sheets or data entry forms. So this also has to be transitioned. For example, consider yourself that you are automating a registration process for students in a university. Let's take a basic example. You made a system, all right? Now you gave it to the university. Now they say that, all right, now you tell them, all right, start feeding entries for your student. Now every new student comes in, it's okay to feed it. But what about the 50,000 previous registration? You're telling them to be like, yeah, so how it will be transitioned? If you agree to feed it manually, that's okay, but it has to be agreed, written down. Okay, usually it's not 50,000. Usually when you talk about the customers, when you talk about transition data, the important data based on, because now everything is moving into a direction of business analytics or dashboards, data warehousing, data mining. So the more data you have, the better it is. So organizations would compromise using a new system than to compromise their previous data. So you have to consider the previous data, how it will be transitioned, or also the process. So for example, the people were used to collect that paper from a person and give it to the other person. This was the process. Now you're automating that, or you're changing this process. So how this will be implemented, how it will be impacted everybody. One person will be removed, so where he will be utilized. These kind of transition requirements. Maybe you are not the only person to find the transition requirement, but as a business analyst, you have to involve the right people to find the transition requirement. Maybe it will be a developer or a project manager or a SME to find the transition requirement, but you have to make sure the transition requirements are noted and accounted for. Did I answer your question, Asra? You can tell me on Slido. Okay. Great. Thank you. We have a question from Prof. Salim Sheikh. Transition requirement may be placed in non-functional requirement. No, absolutely no. Don't do this. See, because I told you, transition requirements are totally different type of requirements. Non-functional, if you put it in non-functional requirement, it means you are considering it as a part of a solution. No, they are not part of the solution. They are one-time requirement only. If you want to just migrate the data, that's one-time requirement. If you want to upload the previous data, one-time requirement. If you want to upgrade the hardware, no, these are not non-functional requirements. These are transition requirements. There's a different head for it, and it's important to understand the importance of this, that this cannot be matched with anything else. Okay. Thank you. Hassan Raza is asking a question. Long process to perform a simple transition in multiple steps also impact. User need to perform a simple form and required more automated by system. Yes, absolutely right. Now, this is what we will learn in requirement analysis. When we get the requirement and we want to design a screen or a solution or a process or anything, then we have to apply certain tips and techniques to make sure that it becomes easy. All right. So we will talk about this in detail in requirement analysis and design. But I totally agree, Hassan, with you. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Kashif, solution requirements are the context. Stakeholder requirements are the context, actually, not the solution, not the solution requirement. Stakeholder requirement gives you a context that how it will be impacting the other areas. Okay. Context is actually a different thing at all, but stakeholder requirements will give you some context. Any other question before we move forward? Okay. We'll move forward now. Okay. If you don't have question, then you know I have question, right? So I have question. All right. Now question number 1 coming your way. The first respondent will get point only. Okay. Not the second, not the first one. All right. First question coming your way. Increased student registration. What type of requirement is it? Remember the type of requirements we have: business requirement, stakeholder requirement, solution requirement, which is functional and non-functional requirement, and transition requirement. Which requirement is it? Increase student registration. Business requirement. I like BR thing, Asra Nadeem. Okay. Yes. The second requirement. Okay, you have to respond to my question only. If you go ahead and start answering others, I'm not responsible. All right. The second thing coming your way: the system shall not allow students to register for more than one course for the same schedule. Which requirement is it? Business, stakeholder, functional, non-functional? All right, not a business requirement. Yes, of course, the solution functional requirement. Yes, absolutely right. The system shall convert 5-digit old student ID to 7-digit ID. Is it functional, non-functional, functional requirement, non-functional? Convert 5-digit student ID to 7. Transition requirement, Azhar. Absolutely right. Perfect. Excellent. Yes, this is transition requirement. Not non-functional requirement, Arif. You have to understand this. Non-functional requirements are different. We will discuss this, but you have to understand these are transition requirement. Without this, you might will fail. All right. When the time crunches, we only deliver with functional requirements. Okay. The system shall time out user session after they have been inactive for 10 minutes. Functional, non-functional. Okay, I think Kashif is saying non-functional. Everyone is saying non-functional. Very good. Kashif will get a point on this. Now, let me put a little perspective on that. Okay, this is non-functional. We all agreed, right? This is non-functional, means if the time crunches, we can definitely cut it off. Now, see the perspective. This is a banking application, all right, and there is the financials involved in this, and people can do a financial transaction without anything further. Okay, now what about this requirement of inactive for 10 minutes? This definitely still be non-functional requirement, of course, but this is too much dependent on functional requirements. If you don't do this, probably the system will be at a huge risk. All right. So because of this, the significance of this non-functional requirement is so huge based on the perspective. Okay. So understand this. Think about this. This type of the requirement could change. The priorities of the requirement could change according to the circumstances. All right. The next question coming your way: the system shall disable the user ID after 5 login attempts. Non-functional requirement: disable the user ID after 5 login attempt. Yes, Nawaz, please, if you want to talk, you can open the mic, please. Feel free. Okay, we'll continue. Nawaz, if you want to say something, you're free. Please unmute yourself and talk. Usability requirement. Okay, usability requirement is not any of the 5 types of requirement we discussed, but yes, a stakeholder requirement is something related to the usability requirement. Okay, now we have disagreements here. People are saying functional requirements and some of them are saying non-functional requirement. Again, this depends on the perspective. If the solution is for student registration systems sort of thing, then definitely it could be non-functional. But if talking about a banking application, this could be functional requirement as well. System downtime shall not exceed 2 hours. Downtime shall not exceed 2 hours. Non-functional requirement, absolutely right. All right, exactly. So we have Mr. Kashif Akhtar again. Yeah, it seems you have a higher IQ than all of us. Okay, the system shall disable the user ID after. Okay, improve student registration experience. Business requirement, actually no. Transition requirement. Yes, solution requirement, stakeholder transition. Yes, okay. Sorry, I think I missed this one. Business requirement, okay. Yes, exactly. This is a business requirement. This is, you are enhancing the experience. This has to be more specific because it's just an example, but it will be more specific. Like maybe like they will say that the process should take 15 minutes for them to fulfill and enroll. So things like that. Yes, it's a business requirement. Absolutely right. Thank you very much. Sayyid Monis Ali, yes, thank you. Improve student registration. Okay, system shall check if student meet prerequisite before enrolling for a course. Functional requirement, stakeholder requirement. Okay, see, I see a little confusion here between stakeholder requirement and solution requirement. So what I will do is. I'll try to segregate both of them. Stakeholder requirements are a higher level requirements. So if it is very specific to a specific condition, to a specific event, to a specific form, then that is a functional requirement. Okay. Stakeholder requirements are high level requirement, like a process of doing A first, B second, third, and or having it as in screens or having it as a report, or so these are kind of stakeholder requirements that tells you that are the so functional. These are higher than functional requirement. Functional requirement is the required functionality, but lots of functional requirements grouped together will become will fulfill one stakeholder requirement. Okay, I hope this makes sense now. Okay. The system shall store the name description. Yes, I already got the answer. So yes, it's functional requirement. Thank you. The first one to respond is Asra, Shahab, and Asra together. So we'll give both points. All existing paper-based student profiles should be available in the new system. All existing paper-based profile transition, Asra, absolutely, you got it right. And I think also Farooq and Azhar, yes, exactly. So see, you can't ignore those, or you can't put this to non-functional, because you have to understand we are working with project manager, we are working in an organization. So things, when you call them a non-functional, they are non-functional by the definition. Okay, and whenever the time comes to cut off the features, non-functionals are the first. Very good. Great. Thank you very much, all of you. Now we have to discuss a difference between requirement and design. Okay. So requirement, there is something called requirement. Now we are moving towards the design. Okay. There is something called design. So anybody would like to put light on what they think when I say design? Hassan, this is that was as I mentioned earlier, the last requirement was a transition requirement. Okay, it's not non-functional dependent on functional. It was a transition requirement. Okay, okay. So let's discuss the difference between. Okay, I didn't get any mock-ups. Yes, mock-ups, exactly. Mockups are the designs. Design is the architecture of the system. That is also a design from the architectural perspective. Yes, design is actual process to perform. Yes, design is a 2B process. Yes, absolutely right. Processing the requirement. Yes, how the requirements will be fulfilled. Presentation of the solution. Yes, exactly. Technical architecture, if you are in the architecture area, business analyst of the architecture, yes, then yes. Otherwise, no. Design, graphical representation of the workflow. Absolutely right. Great. Wow. This is, you guys already know it, so we'll go fast on this one. Okay, so the difference between the requirements and the design is requirements are focused on needs. Okay, what is needed, whereas the design is focused on the solution. This is very critical. So I want this and this will solve. That is, this will solve is the design. I want this is a need. This is very important to understand that when I'm saying I have this problem, that's a need. And when you design a solution that solves this problem is a solution. Okay, as a design of a solution. Design is actually an aspect of a solution. A requirement leads to design. You get the requirement and you design. Once you design, you might lead to more requirements. That once you are designing, you say, all right, what about this? What about that? What happens next? What happens previous? What if this? What if that? So that leads to more requirements, and that should lead to more requirement. Okay. View, for example, view 6-month sales data across multiple organization unit in a single view. This is the requirement. But making it a sketch on a dashboard could be a design, like you mentioned, Kashif and Shumaila, mockups. Yes, reduce amount of time required to pick and pack a customer order. Daraz maybe, right? For example, making a process model for that is a design. Okay, like Mr. Adnan said, yes. Yes, Hassan, you are right. Requirement is a need, but design an actual process flow. But not only the process flow, it's actually representation of solution. Anything which represents a solution is a design. It could be a screen, it could be a report, it could be a graph. All right. Yes. Record and access a medical patient history. This is the requirement. See, record and access a medical patient history. Screen mockups to showing specific data fields, how it will be displayed is a design. You get it? Develop business strategy, goals, objective of a new business. You're starting a new business, or your company hired you as a business analyst for doing SWOT analysis, all right? Strength, weakness, opportunities, threats, or future turnaround setups, or like a lot of business strategic type of thing. Now, writing all those details, where they want to go, what they want to achieve in terms of business, process, people, financials. This is all requirements. Making a business capability model. Okay, that is called a design. Business capability model is a design that somebody mentioned. To and from. So your current as is analysis of the organization and to be analysis. So that's the capability model when you apply it on the business. Provide information in English and French. For example, that's a requirement. Prototype with text displays in English and French is the design. Actually, this is just an example, just to distinguish, because later on, lots of the tasks you will see in business analysis will have inputs of the requirements, and lots of have input of the design. So you have to understand this. Okay. Okay. So Hassan is saying to develop certain efficient method to perform some tasks to achieve required goals. Yes, but design doesn't come like this. So like I'm explaining that, like data, and you put it on the screen, like how it will look like. Making a design is also a process, and you have to follow certain mechanism to reach to a design which is efficient and effective. Efficient in terms that it will enhance the user's efficiency, and effective, it will fix the problem as well. So there are certain mechanisms, there are certain inputs. We will discuss this in requirement analysis and design definition, okay? But how to come up with a good design is also a concern. We will discuss this in detail. And even you will also, there are hands-on exercises as well. Okay, so we are moving next. Okay, so this is a process where you can see that how the requirements are converted into design and further requirements. So you got a business requirement and you apply your design mechanism on this. You get the stakeholder requirement, right? So for example, the business requirement was to automate a certain area, right? And then you apply your design process of automating the areas. You get these stakeholder requirements that, all right, now we need ESS, one-touch devices and all this stuff. And then you apply like your design mechanisms on these stakeholder requirements, and you get the solution requirement that how the system should work. And when you apply on the, so for every business, for every needs, you have a design or a solution that will fix that. Okay, and fixing that could also be a requirement. Okay, we want to discuss. Yeah, I have a question. We use efficient word in both aspects. Yes, there is efficient and there is efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency refers to something to enhance your capability in terms of time, money, all right. Whereas effectiveness is something to achieve the goal or to solve the problem. Does BA design need to be, I have a question from Arif Raza, does the BA design need to be stakeholder convenience or developers requirements? Does BA design need to be business stakeholder convenience or, okay, see, now this is very easy, you remember I told you developers are the ones who are part of the review and verification session. So requirement gathering is a part of the business analyst, actually. That's where but if your program, I don't know, with this, if your specific requirements are totally different and these are so much technical, then that your developer has to be involved, then that developer has to have this business analysis capabilities to conduct that session as a business analyst, understand the requirement and execute. Otherwise, if your developer is only a developer, and the solution is too techy, then even if you involve, you can definitely involve them, but you can't rely on their output. So definitely you have to play your role even in a more efficient way. Yes. So now we are discussing that what is solution. When we are using this word solution from yesterday. All right. So what is solution? Okay. Solution for a business analyst is something that solves the problem, or it allows the organization to exploit or take advantage of any opportunity. Okay. Okay. So anything which solves the problem or helps the organization to increase its efficiency or exploit any opportunity, that's a solution. So now maybe you are all in IT, you were thinking whenever I was saying solution means software. Solution means software. No, software is not the only solution. Process improvement is also a solution for business analysts. A new product, designing a new product to solve customers' problem. A product means a banking product or like a support product could be a solution. That is also a solution. Okay. Solution often includes system development. Definitely that is number one, but also consists of the process improvement and organization change. Okay. Solution can be subdivided into information systems, processes, people who operates it. Okay, so this is very important. I have a question that how would we do business analysis and requirement engineering? This I like this word, requirement engineering, because we stopped using this word for a while. But yes, it's still an engineering. And when we will be learning elicitation, you will know why it's still an engineering. Okay, but even I would say not only engineering, now it became science as well, and doctorate should be done in requirement engineering. So yes, your question is how would we with business analysis and requirement engineering while working on an agile XP approach? Yes, business analysis, planning, monitoring, when we'll start tomorrow, you will have this answer. So business analysis have different approaches for different mechanisms. We'll discuss this in detail tomorrow. Solution which meets the criteria or requirement. Shall we call workaround as a solution? Wow, Hassan is asking a question that can workaround be called a solution? Now, I must say yes, of course, because that's a solution, but that's still you better you call it workaround solution. See, let me tell you, anything that solves the problem is a solution. Okay, so that could be a workaround, but you have to understand that as a business analyst, you accept workaround, but you don't stop there. So you accept a workaround, you find the details, you find the pros and cons, and you initiate something that will fix this workaround forever. Or even not forever, there is nothing forever in IT, but at least for a longer period of time. So business analyst accepts workaround, yes, we do. But you have to find the right solution, and then you have to have a strategy to implement that. When we will be discussing solution evaluation, you will learn this thing, that what is workaround, and we will also discuss about the sink cost and all this stuff. So this will really, you will be able to relate there. Okay, now I will move to the next slide. Scope. Now we have been using this word for a while, scope. Now, but as soon as you attended this training, there are now two different types of scope. One is the project management scope. Okay, that tells you the work necessary to achieve the process. WBS, work breakdown structure, analysis, design, mock-ups, development, implementation, quality assurance, UAT, whatever is the sequence. But that's what you do as a project manager in terms of project scope. Okay, but when we talk about business analysis, our concern is solution scope. That's our area that where we are. So solution scope is the set of capabilities a solution must have. Okay, must have, and all the solution scope must support the business need. This is important. Now we started with something that we don't know the business need. If you don't know the business need, there is no solution scope. Your solution is in air if you don't know which business needs is going to fulfill, or if there is no business need mentioned for it. Chances are that you will keep working on this solution without anyone's satisfaction. So business need, if there is a business need, then only the solution scope will come. Okay, so when we talk about business analysis, we talk about business need. Okay, a small exercise I want to, I have a question on the running out of time. Okay, I need to clear this one, that the time I got is from 3:30 to 7, including 20 minutes break. So I'm still on time, although I'm not giving a break right now because we already had a lot. So, but the session is going to finish very soon, don't worry. A small exercise, I want you guys to write the difference between business analysis scope and the project management scope. What do you think is the difference from the definition I gave you? The definition is solution is focused on the functionalities, whereas project is focused on the the project management, the focus on the work necessary to conduct the specific solution. Okay, please use Slido. I have a question from Farooq Salim Sheikh. Feasibility include in business analysis? Yes, feasibility analysis is part of strategic analysis, and it is part of the business analysis, although there are expert people to do it, but as a business, that comes under the business analysis. I have a question from Shahab. This means it is interconnected. Yes, project management scope also consists of the solution scope, but that's your responsibility as a business analyst. Okay, and you remember yesterday we discussed that why projects fail. Project manager is doing his job, he's controlling everything, time, cost, everything, but still the project fail. Why? Because of the solution scope. Yes, I started getting responses. Muzaffar, thank you very much. Project scope is focused on delivery. Beautiful. Very well put. BA scope is based good solution. Beautiful. Wow, this is. I want. Can I have copyright on that? This is beautiful. Yeah, well put. Excellent. Solution scope is focused on delivery, and BA scope is based on the good solution delivery. Solution. Yes, beautiful. That tells the approach of a business analyst. Business analyst approach should be solution oriented, not project oriented. Let's fight with project manager, but let's have a solution oriented approach. Absolutely. This is perfect. Muzaffar, I'm going to give you 5 points for this beautiful, well put. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Project management focus on. Okay, Hassan Raza, project management focus on. Okay, Shahab first, after Muzaffar. Shahab, project scope focus on project deliverable, whereas solution scope focus on deliverable. Yeah, solution deliverable, if we put it that way. Yes, you're absolutely right. Project scope is focused on. Project management focuses on creation of product, service, or result of the project in order to meet its objective. Okay, yeah. The problem here it comes. Yes, the end is the product itself. Yes. PM managing project constraint. Wow, this is good. Yes, beautiful. Okay, Adnan Sheikh, brilliant actually. So one of the thing in the project management are the project constraint that we will actually be discussing this in the future. But this is important that there are constraints on the project. So their constraints will be time, budget, and scope that we discussed, the triangle. But our constraint are not these 3 things. Our constraint are the 6 things actually out of not 3, 6 things, which is BACCM. Our constraint is, have we considered all the stakeholders? Our constraint is, have we really considered the change it's going to impact? Have we considered the business value? So all these 6 business analysis core concept model is our absolutely, which is the solution. Excellent. Adnan Sheikh also mentioning that managing project constraint. Okay, I think it's duplicated. Business analysis aims to understand the needs of business stakeholder and defining characteristic of a solution meeting those needs. Yes, absolutely right, Hassan. Asra, Nadeem, PM scope focus on project delivery. Okay, BA focus on how will deliverable be delivered. Yeah, if I'm trying to get you here actually. So yes, actually, I think you meant to say is what is the solution that is going to be delivered is it comes to the business analyst that what will be delivered and how it will be delivered is the project management. If that is, if I got it right, yes, absolutely right. Business analysts just focus solution scope while project manager focus on the sum total of its product, time, cost. Yes, exactly. Yes. If you are a project manager, Kashif, yeah, so 3 things for you and 6 things for business analysts. Yes. Adnan, project managers have responsibility of initiation, planning, closure, project. Beautiful. This is good. This is good. Project manager have the responsibility of initiating the project, planning the project, closing the project. For a project, business analysts have end product delivery. But let me add something, Adnan, here, that business analyst is not only end of delivery. If the project is delivery, then yes, delivery of the solution is the scope. But if you remember the first session, we discussed that business analysis activity starts prior to project, which is, as somebody mentioned, feasibility study, business case, why this project is needed, whether this project is right or wrong. Even the projects are created from a business analytics. Now they might not be a business analyst by profession or by designation, but the activity they are doing to come up with the projects is called a business analysis activity. So that's something that, so it's not a solution delivery. Business analysis is not restricted to the delivery. It starts before the project and even goes after the project. So if solution delivery is the scope of business analyst, yes, solution is the business analyst responsibility, but it goes above and beyond. Remember this thing. Thank you, Asra. Sayyid Asif Raza, PM holds some of the deliverable of a requirement, BA focus on solution related. Absolutely, Arif. Shahab, focus on project life cycle only. Beautiful. I think this is absolutely right. This is absolutely right. Project life cycle, yes. Whereas our life cycle is a solution life cycle that starts with the concept till the project throws away, till the solution throws away. Or okay, B is a custodian of a solution. P is a custodian of a project. Beautiful. Well put, Mr. Azhar. Thank you. I think we have, mashallah, lots of input. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, now I think you now I can ask you a small question and simple thing that now who do you think is the business analyst? Not yourself only, of course. Some of you are business analysts by designation, but other than your own self, what designations you feel are doing business analysis that we have learned so far? What are those designations that you think? Okay. Project, I got something from Farooq. Okay, so Farooq is saying, Kashif Akhtar is saying that developer is a business analyst. Whoever add value to the project is a business analyst. Yes, Hassan, you're right. Developer, project management, tester, end users, they are all doing business analysis one way or the other. Shahab is saying SME. Yes, they are business analysts. If they are not doing the end user can be a BA. Yeah, if you want your life to be like if you really want a hard project, let end user be a BA. All right. Program managers, yes, they do the because they are doing the root cause analysis on daily basis. Yes, support engineers. I would say yes in some cases. Anyone who is experiencing it can be a B. See, yeah. So, for example, sales and marketing managers in your organizations who come up with new products to attract more customers they are doing a business analysis. They are doing a market study. They're coming up with there is a business need of increasing customer, increasing sales, increasing financials. So they are doing business analysis on continuous basis to come up with those solutions. The people who give you project, how those projects comes in, think about it, from where they are getting it. Those are business analysis activities that they are performing. So they are creating a project for you. Project manager is usually, before BA role was created, project manager was a business analyst for a long time. Now, so far in 2 sessions, you will know that why both positions, why one person cannot do 2 things, because of the focus is different. As you already mentioned, 5 differences between them. So yes, marketing managers are there. Customer heads, the customer support heads, they are doing root cause analysis. The customers calling them, giving them issues, they are analyzing those issues and reporting that these are the problems, and then maybe doing root cause analysis as well. Yes. So yes, thank you very much. I think you have an idea that who is performing business analysis activities. Now we have to end our session here. We are still a little bit slow on our agenda, but not to worry. We have enough time to capture everything. So we will end our session now. I will start a rating for this. I have started a rating for this session. Other than the internet issue, please let me know how was the training. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll try to meet you. We'll inshallah meet you tomorrow, and we'll continue with the competency. Thank you very much. Thank you.